So the other day I broke the ignition barrel on my Astra when trying to start the car. Basically the end piece that turns the switch snapped right off inside the barrel, and I have to get a replacement. Now what you can normally do when this happens is you can buy a replacement barrel. It'll have a key or it'll be blank depending on if you're buying a brand new OEM one or a second hand one. The barrel will be coded to a specific key. That key will work and you will be able to use your car again. However, the rest of the locks around the car will not match that key. You can order a full set of locks to replace around the car. I do have a full set of locks to replace. However, I figured that seems like too much work to replace all the locks around the car when only one of them is broken. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pull the tumblers out of the old barrel and put them into the new barrel, so that my old key that matches all the locks around the car already will work in the new barrel and allow me to start the car. It seems like a pretty easy procedure. I've never done it before and I don't really know all the terminology for the components we're going to be talking about, but it seems a pretty easy procedure, so I thought I might video it while I do it and just show you how it goes. Alright, so to dismantle the barrel, what you're going to do is take the key, put it in, and turn the lock all the way around to the position where the starter motor would normally be cranking over. Now in the end here there is a little pin. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but a little pin, and it's spring loaded. You can push it down and it springs right back. Now that can't turn any, that prevents the key from turning any further because there's a little catch here. However, you can push the pin down and get it below that catch point and rotate it just outside so that you can remove the pin from the barrel, and then you'll be able to slide the core of the lock out with all the tumblers inside it. Now these tumblers inside this lock are different from the standard basic lock. They have a hole right through them and the key actually goes through when you put it in, so they will actually get held in place when you pull it out if the key is in. If the key is not in, they will probably go flying everywhere because there's little springs in there. So beware, it's probably advisable to keep the key in if you're going to do this, just so that you can collect yourself, look at the tumblers, figure out what you're going to do, and carefully remove them without having things go flying everywhere. Otherwise you will lose the order for the combination and then your key probably will not work. Now what we're going to do is try get that pin pushed down, rotate it beyond this point, and carefully let go so that it doesn't go flying, because there's a spring behind it, so it's probably going to pop right across the room, but that'll be okay. What I'm going to get is a screwdriver, and I'm just going to push the pin down and rotate just enough to get it onto the bottom of the catch there, so that it will move freely beyond this point and it will move back, but it's being held in place by that little catch there. So I don't need the screwdriver anymore. And now I can just hold my finger in place and hopefully rotate it and catch the pin. There we go. Alright, so there we have the pin. Now I'm just going to get this lid so we can put all the pieces in. So that pin is what prevents it from rotating out, and there's a tiny little spring inside there which we'll get out just so we don't lose it, and I'll put that in there. Now to remove the barrel, all we need to do is gently pull from this point and all the tumblers will stay in place because the key is inside still. Now we can put that off to the side, and you can see over here all the tumblers are neatly stacked in place and being held in by the key. Now there's a lot of grease everywhere on the inside here, so you're probably going to want to clasp down, make sure you don't get everything greasy. Your hands are definitely going to get greasy. But yeah, so what we're going to do is carefully, well, first of all, the tumblers seem to alternate, so it seems to be left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right as you go down for the tumblers. It looks like they only come out in one direction. And so what we're going to do is, as we take each one out, we're going to carefully try and pull the key back, just releasing one tumbler at a time, hopefully not sending springs flying everywhere. And we'll take one tumbler out, lay it down, and keep track of that order so that we can then open up the other lock and do the same. Take all the tumblers out, keep them in order in case we need to put them back in. Then we can put these tumblers into this barrel and hopefully have our new replacement barrel recoded for the old key, and so we can put it back in the car. Alright, so let's go ahead and start. Now I have a piece of paper just off camera here and a pen so that I can write down, as I take them out, a number next to each tumbler as I place it down. Okay, so wipe some of the grease off my hands. Carefully pull it back. Now see, as you start moving the key, the tumblers begin to move. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but they begin to rise and fall in different positions as the toothing falls out of place. Right, so carefully pull it out. Okay, so we have the first tumbler is just released. Now, I'm interested in seeing where the spring mechanism is. Okay, so it appears to be housed in the top here. Now I don't think we need to take the spring out, but if it goes flying out, it looks like it needs to go and sit in the top there. And it rests against this little notch over here. Alright, so that is the first tumbler. And what I'm going to do is just slide it back in there. See how it sits. Alright, so that's just how they sit. So they just slip back and forth in the barrel there. It's all pretty easy. So for now I'll just start taking out the tumblers one by one, left and right, and I'll be marking them here. Alright, so we've removed the tumblers from both the old and the new barrel. Center cores are all clean. We have all the springs left inside the barrel here. There's actually enough grease on these that the springs don't seem to want to fall out too easily, which is good. However, I would still exercise caution by slowly pulling the key out and removing the tumblers one by one so that you don't lose them, lose the order. One thing I did notice though is that all the tumblers have a number on them, ranging from 1 through to 4, just a single digit. And I guess these are all just differently cut tumblers for a different kind of key position. And so really the key is just a series of 1 through 4s as the key gets put in. And I would guess that assuming your new barrel has exactly the same range of digits and the same number of each type, you could just reshuffle the tumblers to the new combination if you knew the combination beforehand. But in this case, it's just going to be easier to put the old tumblers in the new lock in the order we took them out of the old one. That's going to be the easiest thing to do. So why don't we just go ahead and do that. We'll start now. So we have the new core of the lock here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by taking the last tumbler and putting it back in the barrel, making sure I'm putting it in the correct side, left to right. I remember the orientation I started off with and finished off with, so I had this down and the right hand side was the last one, so we're going to go and put that in. Now it'll just sit against the spring lightly. Now what I'm going to try and do is put all of them in carefully without them going flying everywhere, and then I'll see if I can put the key in afterwards. Otherwise we may have to put the key in slowly, notch by notch, as we go along. Okay. It's a good idea to make sure that the tumblers can move freely once you put them in, and that the spring isn't at a funny angle or making a jam or something. Otherwise that could cause issues down the line. So just nice and easy, putting them all in as we go along, feeling them out. Looking good so far. Only 2 more left. Okay, last one going in. Now that looks good. They're all appear to be moving freely. None of them are catching, so that's a good sign. Now what we'll do is we'll just take the key and we'll put it in and see if it goes in all the way, and if it draws all the tumblers in fully. And it does. You see they all line up nice and flush on the barrel, which is exactly what we want to see. So I think we're ready to reassemble this. So let's go ahead and get our barrel, and what we want to do is find the orientation we pulled it out in. Carefully move it back. Now this tab over here is also spring loaded. You want to push that in before you can get it back in place, and then just rotate it back and forth a little bit, and then it will move in nicely. Don't put too much force on it, otherwise you could break something. But we've got that back in now. That's moving freely backwards and forwards through the full range of motion, which is a good sign. Now what we want to do is come back over here to this side and find our pin that we took out earlier on, and what we're going to do is place that spring back in the hole. Carefully press it down with a screwdriver, get it seated nicely. Then we'll get the actual pin, place it down on top, and then I'm going to just push it in and rotate back into place. There you go. Now the barrel's reassembled and we're using the old key on the new barrel. It appears to be moving perfectly fine. The key comes out, locks as normal, rotates, and that's it. You've just changed the key code on your Astra key barrel. There you go. And I'll go ahead and put the other one back together, even though I'm not going to use it as it is in its current state, but just to keep those tumblers in that same order for that key if I decide to go back to it at a later date. I'll just put them all together. Alright, well, thanks for bearing with me through this video. Hopefully it'll help someone one day. Alright, take care.